Main Man Made Man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, going down on Wednesdays and Saturdays here on Main Man Made Man's Boxing, man. So we got the boxing world buzzing, fight fans, is the fact that Keith one-time Thurman, Keith is back. The golden question is this Keith one time or Keith sometime? Now, I actually like some of the stuff that I hear Keith saying. Now, it's no secret out there that I am a fan of Keith one-time Thurman. I also like Terrence Bud Crawford. And to hear Keith say some of the words that he's saying about Terrence Crawford, perhaps this is the most thorough time that I've ever heard Keith call out Terrence Crawford. Now, once you kind of clear through all of the hype, you'll notice that Keith is not talking about fighting Terrence Crawford in the immediate future. Of course, none of them are. They always want to fight Crawford. Never in the immediate future or, maybe for a super astronomical price, but he would fight him. He is saying it's in the contract. But he is letting it be known, evidently crystal clear, that only if A, B, C, and D don't work out, then yeah, I'll get around to Crawford. But on the flip side, I will say, outside of the Crawford issue, I do like what Keith one time is talking about. He's talking about doing fights with Earl Spence. He's talking about doing fights, rematches with Manny Pacquiao. He's talking about doing rematches with Danny Garcia. These are all high caliber fights. In my opinion, in a perfect world for Keith Thurman, aka the formal final level, aka where's my new flute? The thing is, this will, in a perfect world of planning, where Keith one-time Thurman likes to make plans. His plan is, if in a perfect world, come back to Danny Garcia, rematch him because he believes stylistically, he don't think that Danny can do anything with his style. He think movement defeats Danny Garcia all day. And he think he can do that all day. He can steal enough rounds on Danny Garcia and skate off with a victory. That's how I think he looks at that situation. But he knows that Danny Garcia has a following and Danny Garcia's father is going to hype the fight. And he wants to beat Danny Garcia and use that to catapult him. Have his name back ringing bells like they once was, of being a dominant figure in the welterweight division. He wants to use Danny Garcia to catapult him back into the conversation, and then use that to leverage fights with either Manny Pacquiao, which would be, he would love if he can get Manny Pacquiao to agree to a rematch, or Earl Spence Jr., a fight that most of us boxing fans have been baffled why it never happened since forever. You know what I'm saying? Since forever. And I've been wanting to see that fight. One of the main reasons that I started to lose a bit of confidence in Keith is when Earl Spence Jr. told Keith, I'll stop you in 6. And Keith did not respond in the way that I've known him to respond to things like that. That's when I begin to see. So Keith says that will be the perfect order of fights for him. And then after all of that, of course, Terrence Crawford. Now he's talking more respectful of Crawford today than I possibly have ever heard him talk. He's giving Crawford credit. He's giving Crawford props. And he is acknowledging that there's a political divide. But he's also telling him, like, look, man, I'll take that fight. I don't want your belt. I just take it for the sake of the fight. Only after all of this plays out, or if this play out, if that don't play out, I'm just like, what? This is what I was telling fight fans recently, when we've heard Showtime Sean Porter tell everybody that he still has to have a conversation. He's still waiting on the conversation. The conversation has to happen. He's still not sure. He doesn't know. And everyone's like, oh, look at Porter. Look what Porter said. And here we are with Keith. Instead of just saying, yo, Bud, send me a contract, 50-50. We do it on pay-per-view. I'm down to make the fight. I'm down to hype the fight. Send me a contract right now. We can do it. I may not do it next. Let me get a soft tune-up. I'm coming off an injury because he injured his left hand. And I'm coming off a loss, and I've been out of the ring a while. Let me get a touch, and then we do it right after that. Keith can admit himself, even though we may not do it for your belt, which could be an obstacle, I don't know. But even if we don't do it for your belt, you being number one pound for pound, your legacy, me beating you, well, that would do beyond way more to establish my dominance back into the welterweight division. Beating the man that's perceived as the boogeyman. But Keith is saying I got to do all of this first. So which one we believe in? Is it one time or is it sometime? I like the way he talking. The plan ain't the worst plan. But when it comes to actually Bud, I don't know where Bud is fitting in this plan. Let's listen to some of the excerpts of the interview. Once again, I'll leave it in a link to the Fight Hype interview. I'm sure looking at the numbers, most of y'all have probably already seen it. So let's just listen to what Keith actually said, all right?
At 147. What do you want to tell all of them as we move forward with Keith Thurman?
Crawford knows he can get it. I'm a very simple man when it comes to the fight world and doing business. You know what I mean? Be real. Send the contract. Watch me sign it. You know what
So you're saying you're...
Woo! Now see? Now that's the one time I remember. Be real, and send the contract. That sound good. That's the type of talk, and of course the writers, the media, that's the quote right there. Send the contract. That's the quote. But it's cats like me. We go a little deeper and we actually keep listening. It sounds good. Now I'm down. I'm like, he like send the contract. And this is something that Crawford and Bob Arum. Because look, it's no secret the position that they're in. Fighters who are looking to try to exploit Crawford. We know this. But at the end of the day, how much of an excuse are we going to keep letting this be an excuse? Because it is what it is. This is business. Bob knows business. He's going to have to pay. He was willing to pay for Amir Khan. The purpose of paying for Khan was to hype the popularity of Terrence Crawford. Well, Crawford versus those PBC fighters, it definitely heightens his popularity. And they are just in a position where if you're going to make it happen, you're going to have to pay. Now, if they can't accept $7 to $10 million, I mean, and Bob should be willing to offer that. I'm sorry, even at maybe even taking a small L or break even. But with the right opponent over there, man, I have a problem. I mean, it's going to probably be a hard time to say that they're not going to make any money. I mean, Bud versus Danny, Bud versus Manny, Bud versus Spence. These are money-making fights, in my opinion. Unless it's something I'm missing. But he's a simple man. And Bob and Bud need to be listening like, you know what, we just got to do it. We did it for Khan. We gave him 7. Let's see who's going to do down and take it. Everybody always forgets that Danny was offered 3. But they act like the 3 was all that Danny was offered. Danny was offered 3 guaranteed. That didn't count the pay-per-view revenue. Danny was going to get a lot more than 3. Let's keep going.
You're telling me that if Terrence Crawford, who is a champion right now, for some reason, if the Fat Whip Pacquiao cannot manifest itself, but you're telling me that if Terrence Crawford and they would send a contract and say, we want Keith Thurman, if the financials are right, you'd be okay with it? You would do it?
Of course. There's no
next fight.
Okay. So easy to be down with it. Next fight.
I could debate on it, you know. Of course, I wouldn't.
Oh, you could debate on it whether it be next fight.
Wouldn't like it because I would respect that Crawford is a champion.
Oh, now you respect Crawford when they ask you, are you down to do a next fight? It's because I got all the respect for him.
Coming off of everything that I've come off of, if it's not exactly what I want, which is the Manny Pacquiao rematch, you know, there are good fights out there that are good fights to let me reinstate some form of dominance in the welterweight division.
I think he's talking about Danny.
Right into a Crawford or Spence. That's another thing.
He'll use Danny.
I'm presented with a contract, you know, if I'm presented with both at the same time, I'll go Spence over Crawford. Spence over Crawford. Spence has a priority over Crawford.
So he wants to fight to propel him back into a dominant position in the welterweight division, which I believe is Danny Garcia, which we heard him calling out. Then if he's Of course, he wants the Manny Pacquiao rematch. And if he's presented with a contract of Spencer Crawford, he's taking Spence. Well, goddamn. You know what I mean? This is why I was asking, where the hell is Crawford fitting in all this? Now we going back to sometime. Now we turning back to sometime now. First I was like, uh-oh, here we go. The final level is returning. M. Bison is coming back. But then, you know, Crawford is in the mix somewhere. But I can't dump too much on him because this is not the worst plan in the world. It really ain't. And I'm down to see everything he just named, technically. It's just that when it comes to Bud, that's why I said the Bud issue, the boogeyman issue, you know, pound for pound, we'll just scoot that to the side a little bit. Because we don't know where he really fit at in all this. All this double, triple talking. So, you know, but the good thing is that he is saying Earl's name. Now, PBC, I mean, what are y'all gonna do? We've seen Keith against Danny. We've seen Keith against Sean. We need to see Earl. Earl is still saying, well, you know, I think he's saying he's trying to give Keith a hard time in the public, but I think if presented with that fight, especially if Keith comes off a big win, Earl will take that fight. Earl and Keith never just vibe too well for me. They just seem like night and day in my opinion. Earl accuses Keith of being fake. And it's funny how Keith is saying to Crawford, be real, be real, be real. Earl is accusing you of being fake, bro. So, I don't know what this is. But it ain't a call out to Crawford. It's addressing the Crawford question. It's saying, of course I'll take the fight if the financials line up and everything is, you know, if the moon, the stars, and the quasars is given to me, of course I'll take the fight. Who wouldn't take the fight? You know, I'm going to need at least $15 million. Of course, you know what I mean? You offer me that? Oh yeah, he's the number one pound for pound fighter. I have a lot of respect for him. Of course I'll take the fight. These are the call outs of 2020. These are the coronavirus call outs, fight fans. Hashtag coronavirus call-outs. We're putting that in the title. Hashtag coronavirus call-outs. All of these coronavirus call-outs that are going on around boxing right now. I'm looking at all of the headlines and all of these fighters are having all of the coronavirus call-out talk. You know what I'm saying? And when this is over, I'm dying to see who's going to keep this same energy. I'm dying to see. But let's wrap this up. Let's keep going.
Outside of the political...
You're not talking anything politically. I'm just asking. I'm literally asking you.
At the end of the day, he has 2 belts. You know, he has more pull, more weight in the welterweight division. Terrence Crawford has done tremendous throughout his whole career.
A lot of respect.
I'm still not a fan of the belt that he holds.
That could be an option.
So I'm more interested in the matchup and the fight itself over being champion of that sanctioning body. But at the end of the day, you know, I love great fights. I love being champion of the world. So, you know, if I'm presented with those kind of opportunities, I'm not going to hesitate. You know, I'm not going to wait. I might take it. You know,
I might take it. Right? I might take it.
So in order of your
birthday fight.
Birthday fight.
So in order of your wish list, it sounded like Pacquiao's number 1, Spence is number 2, Crawford is number 3 when it comes to Keith Thurman's wish list. Is that
Danny? Don't forget Danny. Number 4.
Major fight. Keith Thurman's back in the ring, ready to entertain the world. Pay-per-view. You know? That has to be those 3 names, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be those 3 names. Now, outside of that, you know, back in the ring, Thurman versus Danny, and the winner gets an eliminator against Spence or Pacquiao.
All right. Heard enough. That's your answer. Bud is somewhere in the mist. Whatever. I'm going to leave it right here, fight fans. I'm not convinced that one time is back. He's still sometime. But I like his plan. And we're going to talk another video about him and Earl. But as far as him and Bud, I don't know where Bud fits at. Y'all tell me. To the next video. Thumbs up on the way out. Much love. Peace out. This ain't no coronavirus call outs.